Alright, so here's my Mist Valley Traptrix ninja deck that I've been playing games with. I decided to bring you guys a deck profile of the deck I've been working with. And since I just started this, I'm going to have this down as a concept deck, but I think this deck is ready to move on to my main account. I've won every game I've played with this deck except for one. I lost to Exodia. They actually got pretty lucky too. They still had about a third of their deck left to go through when they got all the pieces. And I was about to win. I had game next turn, so it's been doing really well. I haven't played too many meta decks, but I've played a few of the Traptrix hand artifacts, and I've beaten them. So I'd say the deck's probably ready for my main account, and after I get a few games testing on there, I can solidify it more and maybe bring another deck profile. But I'm probably going to go back to my windups at least until after the next regionals. I don't want to be underprepared for that. Okay, so now I'm ready for the deck profile. The main monster is Hanzo. Hanzo searches for the transformation, and then the transformation plus Hanzo, you can go into any of your other monsters that aren't ninjas. You can summon this. Usually what you want to do is summon Apex Avian. Apex Avian is the boss monster. You can negate anything with it, and it's really flexible. You can negate a lot of things that can cause problems. Also, if you have a Falcon on board, you can bounce back the Falcon to negate. You have an extra negate, and a lot of times they have trouble getting both off the board. I don't think I've ever had them get Apex Avian off the board when I had Falcon on, because you can just negate anything that causes problems, and then you have another negate waiting. So it's really powerful. Yeah, and then Hanzo is a free +1 when you summon it. And then you lose the +1 when you get this, but you're bringing out a monster that will give you another +1. So it's pretty good combo. This is the most easily disrupted, though. They'll usually disrupt that. And then I have a Sazank, just because you kind of need another ninja. When you special summon Hanzo, you can search for the Sazank. And then Sazank also works with this. You can't go into Avian, but you can go into any of the level 4s, so usually you'll go into Mermello to pop a back row. So that's pretty good. And Sazank actually has a useful effect. He sends to the grave when he's flipped up, and the fact that he sends instead of destroys is actually really useful. You can get around a lot of cards with this, and all the other ninjas are frankly bad, so Sazank is the best option. And then I'm playing 2 Mermellos and 2 Dianaias. I find that this is enough Mermellos for the Dianaias because you can summon it from the deck with transformation. I don't think I've ever had a dead Dianaia. Every time I drew it, I was able to make it live, so that's been working pretty good. And obviously when you summon him, you add a whole card to your hand, so usually that means bottomless. And then you also have Traptrix Traphold Nightmare. I'm only playing 2. That's just what the top Traptrix decks were doing. They were running the same number of Mermello as trap cards, so I decided to just follow suit. Didn't see any good reason not to. And also, when he's special summoned, which happens a lot, you get to destroy a spell or trap card. You special summon him through Transformation, Call of the Haunted, and also through Dianaia. And Dianaia is a 1-card Exceed summon. It's a +1 Exceed summon, actually, because you special summon the Mermello, pop a back row, and then make an Exceed with the 2. So that's a really powerful play. Definitely worth it. And then 3 Mist Valley Falcon. This is the second most important monster or card in the deck after Hanzo. Falcon bounces back your traps to your hand, and since this deck has so many continuous trap cards, here through here, those are all continuous, it's a free +1 when he attacks, pretty much. And then if he destroys a card, that's another +1, so you get a lot of advantage off of Falcon, and it's a really big beater for a level 4 monster, 2000 attack. Even if you don't have a face-up trap, you can just set a card and then bounce it back to attack. So it's not a downside at all, it's only advantageous. And then I have 1 Zephyros. It's the same idea. You bounce back a used up trap to get a +1, and then you can use Zephyros for an Exceed. This deck generates a lot of advantage. It doesn't go into Exceeds too often. The only time you'll really do it is if you have a Zephyros play or a Dianaia play. Otherwise, it's usually not optimal, but you can go into rank 4 with 2 of your other monsters if you really need to. 2 dualities, just consistency. 3 can be cloggy, but you usually don't special summon on your turn too often. Well, sometimes you do, but you don't do it in. There's enough times where you just normal summon and it works. And this is just a 4th Hanzo pretty much. And then Soul Charge, it's pretty good. It's not quite as good as Call the Haunted though, to be honest, because you have to use it on your turn and you can't attack that turn, and you have to pay life points. So it's alright, but Call the Haunted is a lot of times better. Also, Call the Haunted is obviously continuous. Book of the Moon's just a staple. I'm running that Torrential and Warning, just the staples. And then 3 MST to clear off back row, just pretty important card. And then the transformation, so obviously, as I said earlier, going to the Avian, but you can go into almost anything in your deck. Sometimes you do draw this without having any ninjas, so it's just a dead card then. That's partly why I'm playing the Wind Blast, because this deck can get empty advantage, dead cards. So you use this. It's one of the most powerful traps, and since you're not going to use the cards in your hand anyways, it doesn't really hurt you that you're discarding them. And then you can reuse this a lot, actually. If you can manage to bring your Hanzos back or something, then you can bounce this back to your hand with the Falcon and then reuse it and get another monster. So it's really good. And then 2 Vanities. This has been alright so far in my testing. It's nice because you can bounce it back to your hand to turn it off. So you can prevent your opponent from special summoning while special summoning yourself. So that's pretty cool. 3 Fiendish. Fiendish is continuous, obviously, so you get to reuse it a lot. Usually you'll reuse each Fiendish chain like 2 times per game, so you get lots of negation out of this. And then Call the Haunted is really good in this deck, bringing back monsters. You don't have very many monsters, so it's nice to reestablish board presence. And it's also really good because Hanzo and Myrmelo go +1 when they're summoned. And also you can bring back Apex Avian, which is a really powerful monster to bring back. Usually this won't be in your grave, but you can discard it with Wing Blast and then bring it back with Call the Haunted. That's a pretty cool combo. This bounces back to your hand, so usually you won't end up with it in your grave. And then the Bottomless and the Traptrix Trap Hole to search, the best hole cards at the moment. And 2-Dimensional Prison, just because it's a really good card at the moment. Sometimes you just need the monster removal. I don't have a real side deck for this yet because it's just an idea. But I probably would side one of these and one of these. And then my extra deck, lots of rank 4s. My windups, I don't have this much room for rank 4s, so I wasn't quite sure what direction to go with in my extra deck. But I could say that Abyss Dweller, Direwolf, Cowboy, Honor Arc, Ragna Zero, Black Ship of Corn, and Steelstorm Roach. Those are the ones I've made so far. So hopefully you enjoyed the deck profile. If you did, be sure to check out some of my other stuff. I'll have links up after this.